In this video, I'll go through the process I followed to wire the amplifier in my 2020 Camry XSE. You have two options on how you can get power into the cabin. The first one is by the driver's footwell. It's all the way under the steering column, and it's this little grommet right here. From the engine compartment, this is where it is. I don't know about you, but my hands are not small enough to get into this area. You can see here where the grease has been smudged off. I struggled, I tried to make it work, but it wasn't happening for me. The other option we have is on the passenger side of the engine bay. There's another bundle of wires that go into the cabin and into the passenger footwell. It's a little tricky to see, but it's this bundle that comes out here. My plan is to attach to this bracket, attach to this bundle, and then run it across this here, attaching the cable with zip ties along these slots. Then I'll probably do a final tie point right around here, and then enter the cabin. I'm using a coat hanger that I straightened out to help me fish the wire through the grommet, and I'm also using a pick to help poke a hole through that grommet from the inside. But from the engine compartment, I'll start off with a utility knife and make a slit so I can stick the coat hanger and the pick through the firewall. It took more effort than what was shown here on camera, but eventually I was able to make a slit and pass the coat hanger through that. As I mentioned earlier, the original plan was to poke a hole through the grommet using the pick and then pass the clothes hanger through that hole. However, this was a lot more difficult than I anticipated. So what I ended up doing was sharpening the tip of the clothes hanger and using that to poke through the grommet directly. Immediately after you felt it go through the grommet, stop and check on the inside to see where it's coming out. Make sure it's not on a path that could damage anything. However, to gain access to this area, you need to remove the bottom kick plate, which is held in with 4 tabs. Use your panel removal tool to push in and down at the same time to unlatch the clips. There's one light connector that has to be disconnected, and then this should come right out. Now that it's through, I'll attach the power cable to the line using some electrical tape. Make sure to wrap well around this area to make the pull a little easier. As I mentioned, I'll use a little dish soap to make pulling it through the grommet a little easier. Back in the engine bay, pulling gently, it will eventually make its way through. Pull out about however much cable you think you'll need. You can check this by placing it along the rug where you think you'll be securing it. Worst case, if you pull out too much, you can pull it back in from the cabin. My kit came with a 150 amp fuse, which I'll be mounting around here. First step is to loosen up the terminals, then strip and connect one side of your wire. The other end of my cable came pre-terminated with a ring terminal, so measure out about how much you need and cut that off. At this point, I pulled back my excess cable into the cabin and connected the other length of cable to the fuse block. I put a bit of tape over the cover for the fuse block just to make sure it doesn't get rattled loose. Unlike me, make sure to install your split loom tubing before you start zip tying your wire into place. This is what it all looks like, finally zip tied into place. Inside the cabin, the plan is to hide the cables behind these panels. I start off by removing this panel, which is held in by 2 clips.
So it's these clips here, one and 2 on the sides here. That's holding it in place.
There's this bolt that has to be unscrewed, and then this panel will pop off as well. With these panels removed, I routed the cable behind these wires and into these existing clips that were here. Remove the seat using a T50 Torx bit. There are 4 bolts holding the seat in place. You'll have to move the seat forward to get to the back bolts. With the bolts removed, I was able to tilt the seat back. This gives me enough room to route my cables and install the amp. I also double checked to make sure there was no tension on these cables. I was able to route the cable under the carpet and out of an existing cutout. Next we have to get to the wires on the back of the stereo.
So I'm getting my hands in behind here. So first of all, I use this. You would start off by getting your trim removal tool into here. Get it up a little bit. Get my fingers into the back and pull towards the back of the car. All these clips are going in like that, so just pull out directly towards you. Don't pull it too hard because there is a connector in here, which is for that ambient lighting LED that's under there. Find that if I take the panel removal tool and use it to press the connector while at the same time pulling out, it comes out. So that's where that connector connects into. So as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clips. To remove this piece, I think it'll be easier to start off by removing this. So open your glove box, and if you get your finger here, you can just pull that off. And then get your hand in here and pull. Continuing on with the rest of it. Again, it's just held on with a bunch of clips. Just pull out directly to the back of the car. Starting from this back corner here, pull gently. When you're pulling this piece off, there's a connector here. Squeeze in on the side and pull out. That comes out. One more piece you can remove before getting the stereo out is the start stop. Grab it and pull. There are 4 bolts. 1 there, 1 here, 3, 4. Then it should be able to pop right out. It's a 10mm for all 4 of these bolts. I have some leftover felt from when I did the subwoofer, so I'll just use that to cover here because there's quite a few metal brackets on here which may damage your trim. I'm going to start on this side. You can see there's a couple clips that will be holding it in place. So this metal bracket right here is why I say you should cover up your shift knob and your center console. You don't want to damage those as you're removing it. There's quite a few metal brackets here and there.
This is the wiring diagram which I got from Toyota Nation. See the link in the description. I know I need to get to wire bundle K3 and K4 for the audio signal and remote signal.
So it looks like K4 was right here, top corner, right there. That's K4. There's a
tab at the top, press that in and pull it out.
It does look like they are the same. That looks to be a good fit. This is looking at the back of the stereo. My confusion right now is that if this is the connector I need or that one on the end there. I need 1 and 15. 1 is ground, 15 is switched, 12 volts. They say the terminals are labeled looking at the back of the connector. So that top right would be terminal 1. In there, second from the left, that would be 15. So the plan is cut the wire and use this to make a 3-way splice. I've made up this connection. I think these are the terminals that I needed. Right now, it should be reading 0 volts. start the car, that's 12 volts. The amp will use that to know when to turn on. And then when you turn off, it goes back to 0 and the amp will turn off. A little close-up of the connection. I have this splice that's made that goes into that connection there. That's the one that you need to take a signal off of.
With audio and remote turn-on signal figured out, next step is cable routing, which I'm planning to send into the dash and along this center console.
Told this under panel right here, this should come out. So you have it out. There are 2 connectors, one for the USB, one for the cigarette adapter. Press here and pull out. Press that and pull out. That's the wire for the ambient lighting, but I think you just press those 2 tabs in and you should be able to get it out. Yep, and that is out.
I'm placing the infotainment system loosely back in place for now. To remove the shifter, pull the leather sleeve down and remove the U-clip.
So I'm going to try to use a pick to pull that off. Oh, that was a lot of work to get this little piece out. Starting from inside the armrest. Start with an edge. Pop up gently. There's going to be a bunch of connectors here. Then there's the side trim. Just pull straight towards you. Oh. So I think that lever is accessible from underneath. Press that down. Shift into drive. Good thing the parking brake's still on. Okay, so I guess there's one more connector in here. Get your fingers in there, squeeze, unplug. Oh, it comes off. There's one connector here. I think this is for the wireless charging pad. Continuing on with the wire harness. From the data sheet, we need 1.6 and 2.7. Looking into the connector as if it was plugged in, 1.6 would be here, and then next 2.7. So next step is snip these wires, strip them, and connect the wire lever nut. That's ready to go. So now when I'm ready, I'll connect up my signal wire that will be going to the amp through the 3rd spot. Looking at the back of the amplifier, we need to disconnect this one and this one. Switched. Connect the other end into the back stereo.
Route the cables through the dash and into the center console.
I'm going to try to squeeze this out a little bit, send the cable out and have it run down right in here. Now that we're done, you can see the signal and remote coming out there, wrapping around these wires, going in through there, coming out on that side and right there to the amplifier.
I routed the bass knob into the center armrest by drilling a hole to go into the center tunnel.
For the ground connection, my kit came with this cable. However, the bolt is a little too large to fit through the eyelet that's already terminated. So I got this kit off of Amazon. It's for 4 AWG and it's a 3/8 inch bolt hole, so that fits in there perfectly. Bolt goes in here, terminal connector goes under there.
I didn't have the proper crimping tools, so I just used the pliers to carefully crimp the terminal. Finish the turbination by adding a piece of heat shrink tubing. My Dremel died, so I'm using a drill with the sanding bit attachments to sand down the surface to make a good grounding connection. With that ground down, I now have a great connection that will be held in by the seat bolt. Now it's time to put the dash and everything back together. I just spent about 45 minutes looking for this connector, which got tucked away under this ridge.
So this is for the wireless charging pad. These are the 1, 2, 3 connectors that are used in the center console. These two here, these are for the USB and the cigarette adapter.
Starting with this piece, you might have to shift the car into drive, insert this, and then shift it back into park or other gears as required to get it in place. Next are the shift knob and the USB and auxiliary power panel. 4 bolts to hold the stereo in place, and your start-stop ignition button. Dash and trim pieces. With everything back in place, we can connect our amp, starting with the power cable. Ground. Remote signal. Audio signal. And speaker wires. We can use a 10mm wrench to connect to the battery positive terminal. I routed the speaker wire to the sub behind these panels.
I tucked it in here. Oh yeah, you can see a little bit of it there. Push that all the way in, and then when you slide the seat down, there's a bit of a gap, and you just shoot it right through there.
Now that I'm in the trunk, I routed the cable the rest of the way underneath the mats. Check out my other video where I went through the complete process to make this custom subwoofer enclosure.